Hey guys, I hope that you've all fared well throughout the storm and the flooding and the power and any other things that you and your family might have been dealing with. I decided instead of typing some notes for you guys for chapters or books 5 through 10 of the Odyssey, that I would just pull out a couple of the things that I really wanted you to focus on and think about as you read. And then tomorrow, your work will be to read additional chapters. So I'm just going to give you a couple of things to focus on, a couple of things you might want to go back and look over that may or may not have been hit very hard in the questions that you answered for each individual book. Okay, we talked about books 5 and 6 just a little bit before we left school on Friday, but I wanted to have you focus a little bit on Calypso's argument in book 5. Remember, book 5 is when Calypso was instructed by Zeus via Hermes to release Odysseus. And she does so, but very unwillingly. She is angry that she is being forced to leave, let her lover leave, whereas the gods, she argues, are held to a different standard. On page 64, she says, "A hard-hearted lot you are, you gods, and as jealous can be. Why are you shocked if a goddess sleeps with a man and makes no secret of it, when she happens to find one she could love as a husband? It is always the same." And you were shocked. But she goes on to say, she saved them. Men do it all the time, and it's not a problem. So I think we've talked a little bit about Helen and her portrayal. We've talked a little bit about Penelope and her portrayal. So this is another female figure that I really want you to pay attention to, because how that layer, that theme of the story, I want you to kind of start tucking away little pieces of information to go along with that so that you can make an evaluation about it towards the end of the story. Right, book 6 is where Nausicaa finds Odysseus on the side of the waters, and we talked about Athena helping and her aid in that situation, so pay attention to that. Obviously, Athena plays a big role in helping Telemachus and his father Odysseus. Think about how he is portrayed as being so kind and chivalrous. He doesn't want to let there be any shadow of impropriety, so he doesn't ride with Nausicaa but behind. And also pay attention to who is it that he is supposed to speak to in order to be received. It's Nausicaa's mom that holds the power there. That is who he is supposed to address whenever he is accepted into their home. Also, book 7, they throw the feast for Odysseus. Pay attention to the hospitality mentioned in that book. What is provided for him? When is it provided for him? Remember, Odysseus does not reveal his true identity for quite some time. So it doesn't have to do with necessarily who he is. Think about why they do things the way that they do. Book 8, the generosity there is continued. We know that Odysseus is going to get a boat. We know that he's going to get men. We have the music that brings Odysseus to tears. We have a different side, another side of him there. Look at that. What part of the song is it that brings him to tears? And what does that say about him? Also, keep in mind, we see a more not so pleasant side of Odysseus here. We see that he can be prideful. His hubris comes into play there. Broadsea is able to challenge Odysseus and get him to participate, even though Odysseus is obviously very good at it because he wins very easily, by saying, "You don't really look like a sportsman anyway." And that's pretty much all it takes to get Odysseus to change his mind about participating in the game. So think about what that says about his character as well. Book 9 is where Odysseus actually reveals his character, or who he is, his identity. And look again at our crew members that disobey Odysseus. What happens whenever we disobey the plans that are given to Odysseus? And see if you see a parallel between that and when Odysseus disobeys the gods. We also see how clever Odysseus can be here, because in Polyphemus's cave, we see the plan to escape, getting the sharp stick, hiding underneath the sheep. Definitely shows our clever attitude, our clever wits of Odysseus. But then in the same breath, we also see that other side of Odysseus, that prideful side, because whenever he leaves, and he's basically gotten away with it by saying he is no man, he has to identify himself. He yells at Polyphemus, "I am Odysseus." He can't quite not get credit for what it is that he's accomplished. Book 10, Circe, we see again another strong woman character. So what does this say about women? Turning all these men into pigs, bringing this man into her home, promising that she won't harm him, and then eventually providing safe travels, or at least a path for safe travels for him in the end. Start to think about, can you blame Odysseus? He is obviously unfaithful for his wife now for the second time. Keep in mind we are in flashback. He would have been with Circe before he was with Calypso, because remember, Calypso is the end of the journey. He's retelling this to us. So think about it. Do you think that he is justifiably unfaithful, or has he really proclaimed to be all about his family and all about getting home, and maybe not been so much about that in action? And then last but not least, don't forget about our little friend Elpnor, who falls off of the roof and dies in a drunken stupor before they proceed to the land of the underworld, which is where you guys will pick up for book 10. Okay. If you have any questions about the questions that you answered, you guys can feel free to email me. If there's anything that needs clarifying on there, I'll be happy to do that. And again, stay safe. Tomorrow you'll pick back up with reading. All you have to do is watch this video and then maybe go back and look at a couple of sections for today. So nothing written to turn in for today. Okay. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.